Hey everyone, and welcome to the Webtogs gear review. So today we're going to be taking a look at the MSR Extreme Condition stove. So we're looking at the stove itself. It doesn't have a fuel bottle. You do have to purchase that separately. And because I'm in the studio, I can't actually light it. Now, yes, I know it does seem a bit weird me talking about stoves, but I'm not actually allowed to show you physically lighting it up at the moment. But one day further down the line we will. But we're just going to concentrate on the key features of the stove so you can make the right decision in purchasing said stove. So the MSR, this stove is awesome for two reasons, the Extreme stove. So one, obviously the MSR brand, it is tried and tested. It has over 40 years of experience of testing stoves, literally designing, developing, you've got a 40-year, dare I say, lineage, which basically means that you're going to get something that's super hard wearing, that's super reliable, but also as well is really easy to use and to also maintain, which is really, really cool. And also this is a multi-fuel stove. So if you're burning white gas, kerosene, diesel, even jet fuel, you can put it in the bottle, attach it to the stove, light it up, and hey presto. Basically, if it's a liquid and you can light it, it will work in this multi-fuel stove, which means it basically caters for anything and everything. And because it's extreme, even in really cold and -degrees temperatures, you're still going to get fuel, you're still going to be able to light it. Now obviously that does depend on the fuel that you're using, but that's something that you have to look into yourself. But yeah, it will feed the fuel and you will be able to light it and use it in extreme cold or probably even extreme heat conditions. So boiling times. So if you're using white gas, it has a boiling time. So just imagine I've got a litre of water on here. It takes around about 3.5 or 3.5 minutes for white gas for it to reach boiling. Kerosene is 2.8 minutes. And if you're using diesel, it's 4.5 minutes, which isn't too bad for diesel. So under 5 minutes, you can have a litre of water boiling away, which is actually pretty good. Now that's the general bits, the key features of the stove itself. So I'm going to take a look at the overall design and what you should think about it. So in the bag itself, you actually get a stuff sack. I don't know where I've put it at the moment, but yeah, that's basically a stuff sack. You've all seen a stuff sack. You can put it in there just to keep it all safe. You get two wind protectors, two different styles of wind protectors, and then you get a bag of accessories. So this is going to help you maintain your stove itself, from pump oil to various other bits and bobs, some valve attachments and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But the stove itself, it looks wide, and that's because it is wide. You actually have great variancy or a great width when it comes to the burner head. It's absolutely massive. So if you've got big pots and pans, you'll be able to fit it on there nicely and burn and cook evenly, which is amazing. Now you're probably thinking, so what, Sean? What does that matter? There's stoves that are bigger or whatever. Basically, what it means is because, again, of the MSR design, it packs away absolutely tiny. So you get a massive burner head, which is attached to obviously the base and the feet of the stove itself, but it packs away nice and small, which I think is awesome. It's absolutely tiny. So if you are looking for a stove that's small and lightweight, but also if you've got bigger pans and you've got a bigger area to cover on those pans, this is definitely something to look out for. The burner itself is a very traditional burner. Let's actually open that up. So the burner head itself is a very traditional burner, just your standard one in there. Obviously you've got this piping here, which enables the flow of the fuel to go in there. Also as well, what that does do, if the fuel is cold in the compression, this actually heats the fuel up, ready to go through as a gas when it comes to going through the burner as well. So you're actually using its own, you're basically heating the fuel up before it goes through to the burner by using the burner head. They know what they're doing at MSR. That's actually a really cool, efficient way of using your fuel, and also meaning that you get a quicker burn time as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, as I say, it's just a very traditional burner head basically. But again, you've just got that wide preference, which I think is really cool, and the fact that it packs up small is awesome as well. Braided hose, pretty standard, and then you've got your bottle attachment. So what I'm gonna do first off, I'm gonna actually detach the bottle. Just pump that out. Boom. Right. So using the stove itself and using the hose itself is really easy, but it's also really, really safe. And that's due to this section on the inside here. So when the actual head itself or the bottle itself isn't attached, this spring inside here springs upwards, which basically blocks the fuel entry on the inside there. So at the moment, it's basically locked in place. Now you might get a little drip and drab of fuel on the inside there, which you obviously have to burn off before you pack everything away. But it does mean there is a locking safety mechanism in there. Just by pushing that up, that opens up that valve, and then hey presto, that enables the fuel to go through the braided hose to the burner for you to obviously then ignite it, which is really, really cool. The head itself is actually it's a pretty standard burner head, to be honest with you. You put the fuel bottle, fill it up with fuel, screw that on into there, and then basically you're ready to connect it. Connecting is really, really simple, as you can see on here. It's literally pop it into there, obviously make sure that that's down, swing that round. He says, there we go. So you just got to make sure that it's in there. And then that clicks into place. I actually made that way more complicated than it needs to be, but it really is simple. All you got to do is make sure that that pushes all the way down. And what that's doing is, on the inside there, that's pushing the internal structure on the inside there. And then that enables the the fuel bottle to engage with that to enable the airflow to go in there. So once that's attached in there, you've obviously got your pump to pump up the fuel, and then that's going to read through there, or obviously go through the braided hose, and obviously that's going to give you fuel for your burner. Now, normally on traditional stoves, the way that you adapt your flow of gas or fuel is on the actual burner itself. In this case, it's on the nozzle, which makes more sense. So basically, using this tab on the top here, it just means that you can control the flow of fuel. So if you want the flame to be bigger, crank it open. If you want it to be smaller, you crank it closed. So that's where that is basically. But that works, and it makes more sense to have it on that pump system than to have it on the actual stove itself, because just in case something happens, you've got the control flow right there, right next door to the fuel. And again, if you're not using it, just have that down, and then that's just out of the way. Again, that's mainly for storage, but yeah, that's a pretty cool feature to have, just to have that on there. And as I say, that's just allowing you to restrict or open up the fuel going into the burner itself, which obviously means you can cook things quicker, cook things slower, simmer, boil. You know how to cook things. But yeah, it's just a pretty nice thing to have that sort of lever system on the actual bottle, or the bottle itself. Well, not the bottle itself, the attachment to the bottle, rather than the stove itself. That's pretty cool. So, who is this stove for? Guess what? I'm going to say everyone. I mean, if you're going to be backpacking somewhere where there's varied weather conditions, it's a bit colder sometimes, it's a bit warmer sometimes, the multi-fuel is something that you should always consider and you should always go for. If you're backpacking over different continents or different countries, again, the multi-fuel just ticks the boxes. Rather than having to carry a bunch of gas canisters, you carry 1 or 2 bottles of fuel. And then when you need to top that up, you can go, okay, I need to go and get some fuel. Everywhere is pretty much, every country has a petrol station or some way of getting fuel for you to burn. And it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's liquid and it burns, this machine, this stove will ignite it and you will be able to use it. But like I said at the beginning, depending on where you are in the world, you have to consider the conditions and the weather conditions and the temperatures that the gas does work. If you're going down to -20 and you start using, I don't know, standard Y gas, it might not work. It probably won't work. In fact, I don't think it does work. So yeah, you've got to have that into consideration. So as long as you get the right fuel for the right temperature that you're in, you'll be absolutely fine. So yeah, if you are doing a bit of extreme backpacking or, cold weather camping, this is something to look out for. But hey, if you're doing your Duke of Edinburgh, if you're in the Scouts, if you're doing some wild camping and you want to buy a product that's reliable, that has an amazing burner head coverage, that packs up small, is multi-fuel, even if you're just going to be staying in the UK, this will do the job. It literally caters for everything. And the thing is with the multi-fuel stoves and this extreme stove, the way I see it is, if you after if you're after, sorry, one stove for everything, this is something to consider. This stove will tick the boxes because of how small it compacts. So, how small it packs down to, the width of the burner head. I know I keep mentioning that, but I'm really impressed with that, and the ease of use. And again, because it's attached to the MSR pedigree, you know the quality of this stove is next to none. Anyway, if you want any more information on it, just head over to our website, webtogs.com, to get some more information on that. And whilst you're over there, you should definitely go check out our new environmental scheme, should I say? Is that the correct terminology, Sean? Basically, our carbon emission is down by 93.5% as of recording for a company, for a Webtogs company. Now that is amazing by itself. A lot of hiking companies, a lot of big companies don't come anywhere near that sort of carbon emission percentage, which, you know, not to brag, but that's actually pretty fantastic. But we are now planting trees. So every order that you place through the Webtogs website, we will plant a tree. Now that sounds pretty cool as well. So having the low carbon emissions is awesome, but then also as well having the fact that, you know, your order will basically mean there's going to be a tree planted somewhere in the world. I don't think your name gets attached to it or anything, but it just means that, you know, it hasn't cost you anything extra, but you are helping the environment out, which is pretty cool. But the two both go together pretty well because of our low carbon emission. One order from us, so one tree that we plant, offsets the carbon emission of 3 other Webtog orders. How amazing is that? So, and that's purely for the fact that our emissions are so low. As I say, as of recording, 93.5%. Hopefully, within the next year or so, we will be at 100%. We are getting there. And the fact that we're now, as I say, this tree environmental, not plug, thing that we're doing, words are failing me at this moment, but the fact that that one tree will offset 3 other Webtog orders is absolutely fantastic. So if you're over at webtogs.com checking out this stove, definitely go check out that that scheme as well. It's definitely something to look into. Right, okay, I'm going to stop blabbering on about all of that now. I hope wherever you are in the world right now, you're having a good one, and hopefully this video has helped you out picking the right stove. Anyway, again, I'm going to go now, so thanks for watching and happy trails.